So
I think the biggest thing as well is, we have to keep going on the roads that need to be replaced.
absolutely.
But even if we choose one road a year to do the other, to do another surface layer, but again, the timing is so important. Zion Line, that portion that was redone, certainly a lot of it ended up because it was done so late, it ended up, off the road. It filled in all the potholes, but it was an expensive way to fill in potholes. Mayor Johnson.
I agree with Bill 100%. We have to start doing research ourselves like everybody else has to do. We got to be innovative, and there are things on the market. Some of them have been road tested in the U.S., and some of them are brand new to Canada because of our different climates here. And there have been some roads that have been tested. Some of them are real close. One, for instance, is in Algoma, North Algoma, sorry. There was one test did there by Greenwood and one by another company down at Kingston, and they can both be looked at. The technology now, you haven't got to Waterview yet?
No.
Okay, that was one else I wouldn't mind making that comment now. That using of that product that's out in the yard and redoing a road that it'll fit on, and it pretty much to test it, it needs to be the entire road. That's about the only one maybe that would fit. But that is a product that is going to become more available as we go on, because it's all shave and pave. So when they grind off, this municipality will be eligible for some of that material in different locations on 17 and so forth along our roadway. Right now, they've been testing it in barnyards, which is okay, but it's a bit of a waste for us. But it's been proven to work. So we need to look at stuff like that, and that. So I just want to say we really do have to look at doing what we can to save what we can. Rebuilding it. I never was one that believed that the whole process should be worse first. It's sometimes worse last to get you the best. Got to protect what you have that's good, and do what you have to do to repair what's completely falling apart. But we'll never know if it's going to work if we don't try some.
Yeah. So also on there, Waterview Road. It's approximately 1.3 kilometers, and that's I've met with one supplier of a. It's an application that you put on the top after the ground up asphalt's been put down, and it's supposed to turn it just about like asphalt. So, and I'm also meeting with one of the local contractors this week to have a look at their process that they did in North Algona Wilberforce to see if it will fit in with what we have. Now, I'm not sure if I put enough money in for that road just because this is so new to look at doing something like this, so that number might fluctuate. I can't see it going down, might most likely up. But anyways, that's one of our test roads that we're going to look at doing something new with. That's about all I can say about that one for now.
Councilor McLaughlin?
And I have no problem with you doing a test on it, as long as the people realize it's a test. And if it doesn't work, then it should go back to gravel, because we can't afford to keep the surface roads up that we have now, along with taking on more. So I don't have any problem with if you would like to use it as a test, as long as the people realize that's a test road, and if it breaks up and falls apart, then it's not, in my mind, we do not go and spend the money and the work to double surface treat it, as we have, because we can't keep up with the roads that we have now. So if you want to do a test, I'm fine with that, but if it's going to be said it's going to end up we're going to have to double surface treat it, I'm not in favor of taking on any more gravel roads that aren't double surface treated with the roads we have now, because if we look around, we can't keep doing what we're doing now.
Yeah, I don't see that happening with this one, Councillor McLaughlin, and you know what? It's ground up asphalt, so if we have to, we'll grind it up again and put it back down. Like, if we get 10, 15 years out of it that we don't have to grade that road, like, we're going to do it properly. We're going to build the base first and do it properly. There's no use just trying to cover up a mud hole and say, did it work or not? No, we want to build it properly. So, you know, and that road is a good road. It's a traveled enough road that it should show us the wear, but it's not too long that if we do mess it up or it doesn't turn out, it's not too long that we can't fix it. So,
Mayor Jones?
I would suggest, maybe, as Councillor McLaughlin is stating, people should know that you're trying something new, that we just put a sign up at the start of the road. It's a dead-end road, so we put a sign up at the start of the road, tax dollars at work. This road is a test with new material.
New processes.
New process, sorry, yeah, not new material,
Absolutely.
It's old material, but, and so that they're, aware that it is under a test.
Councillor Mackay and then Councillor McLaughlin?
I think it's a great idea. I think who thought that up? Just saying.
Councillor McLaughlin?
I have to agree with Bill, though. If we're going to do it properly. Don't just put a surface on it, fix it properly, bring it up to the standard that we want, and then put that on. I just worried that it falls apart and then the people come yelling at us that, well, it was hard surface, because we've had lots of roads that are hard surface and fall apart because they weren't done properly to start. So
Yep,
when you
agreed.
said that, I certainly want to say you're absolutely right. Do it right if we're going to do it at all.
So I'd just like to recap. Do you want me to take St. Augustine out?
How about we leave it there like you
Okay.
suggested and then see? But you did say that the price was the same and they were gonna do it the last week of,
It's scheduled for the first week of August. Rapid Road is scheduled for the last week in July.
so how far would you let it go before, like, we can't be canceling on a contractor 2 weeks before or whatever, that's the only thing. I think we need to make that decision now rather than later, whether we do it or not. Councillor McLaughlin?
Well, I know that when it was first brought to council, that church was being used every week.
Yeah.
And now it's only being used every second week. It seems to me like it's only going to get half the use, and we grade it, what, Bill, maybe 2-3 times a year?
Not very often, but we need to
So
get
I'm
some good
kind of,
gravel in there.
I think we could use that money elsewhere, in my mind.
So how about we just do a vote,
Okay.
just for direction for Bill? All those in favor of taking St. Augustine out this year? Okay, there you go. Do you wanna go right down the line like this? That
Well-
fast?
I just wanna make sure that you understand where I'm coming from with part of the plan. So my next one would be Government Road, because it would actually be starting that in the next couple of weeks. So Government Road for a partial rebuild and a single overlay on part of it.
And you're starting that when?
Yeah, if everything goes good, the middle of May.
Okay. Everybody in favor of that? Yep.
Okay, then Caroline, so the 3 kilometers starting at Magnesium Road and coming back towards Foresters Falls to where the road gets good again.
Okay, and when would you plan on doing that?
That one would start probably the second week of June and allow the time for the half loads to get off. And also I don't want to ruin the first part of the Kerr line getting to that part of the road, but you know. Yeah. But you know, there's some major time in there that has to be done for those culverts. So I'll need some time to get some signage done and do some notifications for road closure and set up some detours.
Okay, is everybody in favor of that, or do you have any discussion? Okay, everybody's in favor of Kerr line that, okay, Councillor McLaughlin?
Are you still planning, Bill, to do a double surface street on it, or would you sooner just leave it? Or just leave it in the budget and leave it up to you?
I'd like to leave it in
time-wise?
the budget, and then if we foresee a problem, that we could pull the double surface street off and have it in there for next year, first thing, you know.
Yeah, 'cause basically to do the double surface street, that's usually you contract that portion out
Absolutely,
anyway,
yeah.
so it doesn't speed up the operation or slow it down one way or the other,
No,
right?
it's just to make
Okay.
our deadline
Yep.
for August to have the treatment down.
That sounds, yeah, I like your idea, have it down by the end of August or hold it till the following year, so go ahead, I'm in favor.
Sometimes it's hot in August though too. Yeah. Councillor Olmsted?
Should we reallocate the $14,000 that was raised in taxations for St. Augustine Road? So we removed the project, but there was $14,000, I believe. Was it
From
raised in
reserves.
taxation or in reserves?
It was raised in taxation in 2014.
So should we reallocate that to another project, just to keep the books straight?
I'll leave that up to Marcia, but, we can either stay in reserves to do it at another time, or it can be reallocated. There are some projects here that aren't funded yet. 15,000 of Cornerview Road. The second number, the white part of Cornerview Road. Yeah, 60,000 is coming out of other from gas tax. So once she gets approval from council as to which roads are going ahead, then she can do her
You can play with the
fancy
numbers.
dance. Play with the numbers. But yes, I agree, it either needs to remain in for St. Augustine or taken out and allocated to something else.
Okay, so then the next one for me would be grant settlement, single overlay, and that's going to be part of our keep what we have in good shape and dig up. It's between 500 and 600 meters. That definitely needs to have some major restoration to that. But if we do that portion now, I think we can get it packed back in good enough, and that road's busy enough. I don't think we would want to leave that as gravel. No.
Is that all the way from La Paz over to Power?
Yeah.
And you plan on doing that?
That would start right after. Well, actually, when you look at the way I have the plan laid out, so we would start on Government Road. The first thing to do is to change some culverts. Once we get started down Government Road with the culverts, the graders will start right behind that, start tearing it up, and then, once the graders have it tore up and leveled, then the A-gravel will start right away with the belly dumps. So I only need one grader doing leveling. When we're tearing it up, we need both graders there in order to keep traffic flowing. So during the time, and I believe I have 3 days to tear up what we have. So also during May, we're doing our dust suppressant. So I'll be stealing a grader out of the dust suppressant to do that. And there's always rainy days that we can be, juggling around the schedules. But so one grader doing the A gravel, and then the other grader goes back to doing grading for dust suppressant. So we're trying to juggle our construction schedule plus our regular day-to-day maintenance stuff that we have to get done. The way I have it laid out, we won't be done Government Road yet, and the excavator will already be started on the Kerr line to replace some culverts. So, you know, trying to utilize our equipment as best we can. So I'm not taking a road and trying to get the whole thing done at the same before I start the next one. It just doesn't make sense because, you know, our contractors with the belly dumps are picking up the slack and trying to make it all flow through. So back to this grant settlement overlay and that 500-meter dig out. We'll probably be using as well there, Charlene, is the geotextile and do some sub-drains there. Yes or no?
Councillor McLaughlin?
Bill, do you intend to have this portion done by July? Like,
Grant settlement?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as it's done, because there is a portion there that is used for the for the buses to do their put-ins.
Yeah, but I believe they turn in before that, where that culvert job would be, don't they?
Where's that? Because WT goes quite a piece up.
Did we do? Is that the big dip?
Yeah,
Yeah, they turn in before that, I believe.
I think it's
Closer
one.
to Joe Kowalski's.
Yeah, I believe the way it looks, we won't be.
Well, as long as it's before, you know, I'm just saying that I know the buses go, like
Up
there's
there,
one,
yeah.
there's one I'll put in is right at Powers Road.
Yeah.
And then Wilderness Tours is the last one.
Yeah.
But I believe where we're looking at digging out is
Just
after.
before that.
past-
Yeah, just after that.
After
going
that,
towards
well, as long you, I just wanted to be aware that, you know, come July, it would be nice to have it, at least gravel for them and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
us be out of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're good with that one?
Yeah.
Then Waterview Road, like I said, we can send our graders anytime to chew up the top. We have it all staked out, we know where the digouts and infills have to be, so, I'll try and get a price to have it contracted out and fit within our budget that we're looking at and push that up even tighter onto the schedule, maybe mid-July sort of thing. But again, making sure Eldon and Fodder in good enough shape to handle the traffic that we're going to be asking of it.
Councillor McLaughlin?
You're talking about Cornerview Road?
Yes.
Okay, I thought it
You
was
did say Waterview.
Waterview, okay.
I have too many views
Yeah,
around here.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we were talking, because I was thinking, I don't know if there's any tearing up to be done on, but anyway, no.
Thank you
No.
for that, Councillor McLaughlin.
So Cornerview, we're good for that one?
Yep.
Okay, Rapid Road, we do have some civil work to do there. There's some culverts to change out, and also part of this would cover a little bit of work that we have to do for drainage ahead down the Gore line that is our part of the Gore line. So I'd like that to go ahead.
Is everybody in favor of that? Yep. You want to talk? Mayor Johnson?
That's HL3 or HL4?
HL4.
Okay, so that one can go into, like that one can go to the fall. HL4 can be done right up to frost.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I just want to get the civil work done early. So we're good for that one?
Yep.
Then Waterview to do our test run on. Now I believe, I'm meeting with Greenwood this week to have a look at it, and hopefully he'll be able to give me more of a ballpark idea of what the number actually is going to be that we're looking at. You know, I know what it's going to cost us to do the gravel work, and, you know, we need to send our brush machine up through there first to get some brushing out of the way and some ditching done, and I haven't looked at the culverts yet, to be honest, so. It's there, we've got to start on the number, and I believe the contingencies from the other ones will cover off any other costs that we might incur on it.
Everybody good with that? Okay.
Now, with our equipment, because I shouldn't say because the municipality has just recently hired a very excellent mechanic. This kind of list was done before he got a chance to really look at some stuff that we need to be looking at. I'd actually like to take the trackless sidewalk plow out, but we're going to need another truck before January. So I would like to take that $140,000 and put it towards the purchase of a new truck. I can get the tender out now and have delivery for January and cover off the rest in next year's budget. The sweeper broom, I'd like to go ahead and get a tender out for that. We actually went ahead and rented a sweeper broom right now, a pickup broom. Some people might have seen it running around town. So I'd like to go ahead with that. And then truck 22, it's our 2008 Sterling? No, it's older than that, sorry. Anyways, yeah, it needs a new box. We've had it out to FOTS to have them look at it, and I got a rough estimate of between $34,000 and $38,000 to have them do the work on the box, and they're basically going to strip it down to the frame rails and start over. Now, a little bit of history on that truck. A few years back, it did go off the road. It didn't fall right over. It would have been probably a lot better if it had, but it leaned over in the ditch really bad. The box, the frame was twisted, so that didn't help. It just rusted right out, and that's not uncommon with snowplow trucks. You know, lots of times you'll put two boxes on them in the life of the cab and chassis. So I have a budget amount estimate of $52,000 for a new box for that truck.
Are the guys pretty good at washing the trucks down?
Yeah, and we've actually, a couple of years ago, we started buying this stuff from Crown called Salt Away, or Salt Eliminator, and we found it does a good job with it. It's in spots. The way the box rusted out, it rusted from the inside out. It didn't rust from the outside in. And, you know, it's not uncommon with salt trucks at all. You know, we ask these trucks to go out in the worst weather and put the worst thing you can into them, salt. And so that would be where my plan is. And I've told the new mechanic, I said, you know, we need to come up with a good replacement schedule and an asset plan for our equipment so we have a better idea to bring to use every year.
What year is the truck that you're planning on replacing? I mean, we just bought two new trucks?
We bought two new trucks. We replaced a 1993 and a 1999 last year, and the one we're looking at now is a 1995.
It's definitely overdue.
The Ford went last year. This is the International. Yeah. Number 9.
Typically 12 years for snowplow.
Yeah, and
How long ago, do you know?
7.
I'm on mic. Are you on mic? You're not on mic.
Box was changed, as far as I know, in 2006.
Yeah, you could be right, yeah. So that truck has gone through 2 boxes in its lifespan too.
Okay.
For the truck, well, last year when we budgeted, we were $255. The amount with the dollar, you'd be looking at, you know, $250, $260 should buy a new truck. I haven't seen what the county tender closed at this year.
I don't know, I haven't seen it either. Councillor McLaughlin?
The truck you're planning on replacing, that box wouldn't fit?
No, it's done too.
It's done, oh, okay. That was just a thought, trying to save some money. But, No, I remember as well as Mayor Johnson, I remember when we did that. We ordered the new box, so, and that's, if it's 2005, that's 10 years. So
Yeah.
that's not so bad, really.
Yep.
I guess my only concern, I mean, we're doing quite a bit for roads, and we start taking some of that out of reserves. If we take new trucks out of reserves, I don't know what you're at with using taxation dollars for any of it, if we're able to or not. I don't know where you're sitting with regards to levy right now without the capital in there. But you can borrow through Infrastructure Ontario as well for it, you know, on a short-term basis, you know, 4 years or 5 years, and the interest is so low.
That's similar to the grader that we have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did that with the grader and the excavator.
Yeah.
I think it was 500,000 that time.
Yes. And just so you know that we will be going to get a price from Infrastructure Ontario for the sewer.
Right.
So just to remember that, it's 3.1. That won't be this year, but it'll be in the next couple of years.
But that's paid for out of the sewer,
Yes.
not the
Fair
property
enough, yeah.
taxes, yeah. So,
And
So-
then sand dome.
Yeah, and then the sand dome
sand dome.
at 350. I had a gentleman call me not too long ago, and he knew the situation we were in with their sand dome, and he actually would like to take a crack at putting a tarp on it. So
On the one that is
the
existing?
existing one, yeah. Then we'd be back down around probably just an estimate around 100 to 120.
And do you think the walls can handle that?
The walls themselves are fine. I'd still like to get up top and see what the infrastructure up there is like.
Because if he puts a tarp on it, is he not gonna put, the actual infrastructure, you know, the beams on it to hold the tarp?
No, the beams that are there, they're big, heavy steel. The problem we had with them is where they anchor to the cement walls, the anchors broke loose. So we had a structural engineer design a system that would hook them back up and stabilize them back into the wall. And when we took it to our fabrication welder, the welder said, I don't want to do anything until I've looked at the top to make sure that the top's good enough to handle the bottom.
Right.
And then we never got to that point.
How soon can you get to that point? I mean, we've gotta use this sand dome come fall.
I'd like to
That's my concern.
go ahead, I have a tender ready, I'd like to go ahead and put it out, and it has both those options incorporated into it, if you wanna do it that way, or because of the timeline.
Right. That's my concern as well,
Yep.
timeline.
So, and I mean, this person that said he'd like to try, he would have to tender it just like everybody else does.
Right. And they're going to test they're gonna find out at the top whether or not it's conducive to do that? Or is that up to us still to do
No,
that?
that would be part of this project as well, that, to make sure that it's good enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Councillor McLaughlin?
That's what I was gonna ask, like, I remember, Bill, you saying, well, we're hoping to get one of those lifts in that was going by. Maybe we need to
Just go ahead and get
just
one.
go ahead and
Yeah.
get the thing and go up and have a look at it to make sure that that's the way we should go. Send a person, a proper person up to look at it.
But I'd like to go ahead and put the tender out anyways,
Well,
right away.
I've no problem with
Yeah.
that, but before we award the tender, I think we should, and just bite the bullet and get this thing in and get it looked at.
Yep.
Is what my thoughts are. I know you try to save money, but sometimes it's better off just spend it and be
You don't
done.
wanna waste it either.
Yep, exactly.
Councillor Rieger?
Say the same thing as Councillor McLaughlin just said, that we should just, bite the bullet. But I thought we looked at tarps, I thought we looked at tarping that a couple of years, back in 2013, and we didn't think it was feasible at that time, or,
No, we tendered it last year, and we didn't have any takers on it. and then during the winter,
We talked about back in 2013, 2014, did we not, Bill?
we did, and we didn't know at that time whether it was feasible because the legs had broke off, and then once we had the structural engineer in to look at the bottom, that's when he said, no, this is fine, do this, build this bracket, and you're good again. That was the stumbling block, is we didn't know whether we could reattach the legs to the cement wall.
Right.
But we actually had a structural engineer in to look at it, and he didn't think it was a problem at all. So,
Well, we have to do something. We've got to move on,
yep.
something done on this for sure.
Councillor Olmsted?
I'm not completely sold on these tarp barns. Like, for $350,000, I think you'd be able to put up a pretty decent, Renfrew County type building. Like, I know what they did over here. They had to reshingle it and retrofit it, and there's some things that they had to fix up on it. And I kind of have an idea of what that costs to maintain, and so you're talking about reshingling it depends on the shingles you put on, but every 15, 20 years of throwing a few $1,000s of shingles on these structures. But I think even if it costs a little bit more up front, I think your long-term maintenance cost on these wooden structures with, they're an open, one side's open, there's no garage door on it. For $350,000, I would think that you could put up a non-tarp structure.
Well, and the tender that I wrote doesn't require a tarp structure. It says, you bring to us the best deal that you think you can give us to hold us 4,000 metric tons of sand. If you want to build a steel structure or a Quonset hut or a tarp barn, and then it's up to you people to decide, if it's 400,000 for a wooden frame structure with poured walls that you foresee lasting 50 years rather than a tarp barn at 375 that's only, the tarp's only going to last 15 years.
15 years, yeah.
That's why I wrote it the way it did, was to not say, okay, we want a tarp barn. No, I want them to bring us what they can do for the best price.
Okay, because I do know Renfrew County right now are going through a process of redoing all of their domes. So the one Cobden one was done last year. I think the Pembroke Garage are being done this year, but they're doing 2 or 3 a year. And the whole refurbishing of all of them is right around probably about $400,000 I think they have 6 or 7 in total. And that's what it's costing to redo the entire lot of them. And now they're good. They're all good again for another 20 years.
Councillor McLaughlin?
I was going to say, though, we're looking at spending $120 to put a new tarp on it. Is that correct, Bill?
That's what we thought the cost was going to be. Yeah.
Because I'm totally like Councillor Olmsted. If we're going to look at having a new building, I certainly don't want it being a tarp building. I want something that's going to last 50 years with some maintenance. So, but this is to put the tarp back on the structure that's there, and you're thinking it'll come in.
That's what I'm hoping.
Well, I was going to say that's what we're hoping for, and
Yep.
and if it's more, then we'll have to address it. But so you're going to do both, though. Two tenders, is that correct?
No, it's one tender, but there's 2 parts to the tender.
Two parts to the tender. Okay.
Reeve Miller? You're good? Okay, is there anything else on the list? I think that's it?
Yep.
Pardon? We're good? Councillor Mackay?
I'd like to put on a different hat, the Fair Board hat. You think you could break up all that paper stuff you dumped at the winter dump, your snow dump?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, see you next year when you're trying to find a place to put that snow, buddy.
Wonder if it would burn.
Marcia, is there anything further?
No, this is good. I needed this information in order to finish the budget and plug in my numbers. So what I'll do is I am going to put the truck number 9 as a replacement of $250,000, and then we'll bring it back to budget and kind of go through, and we'll discuss what's going to come out of taxation, and then I'll get into my numbers for the reserves, and I'll plug all my numbers in. The only one thing that I do want to ask council is, because we never did end up speaking about this, but if you've had a chance to look, and I checked it here, back in April 6th, I sent you guys over the capital budget spreadsheet, and we are looking at desks for council, and it's coming in at about $17,000. There is outlets, there is a little bit of cabinets for the CAO as well as the mayor up front. So this would include then kind of some nice paneling in the front, a lot more room. Everybody would have their own little pencil drawer. It's just it takes 4 to 6 weeks. So if that would be something that you would consider. And I believe Mike Buskey just emailed me there and stated that he was able to get us a 10% discount. So 10% off my original rate of $17,000. But I'm just going to have to confirm with him on that first.
I would suggest maybe put it in the budget and see where it falls.
Yeah, okay.
And then
Okay.
go
No,
from
that's
there.
fine. It's just if
Yeah.
yous were really, I know Chris Olmsted said that he
They're
really
very
wanted a desk,
uncomfortable.
so it's just it would take 4 to 6 weeks to come in.
Councillor McLaughlin and then Christine?
I was going to ask, so the chairs are not in the budget then?
No, they're an additional cost of $3,000. But I have them in the budget, it's just,
Okay.
that's not the cost of the desk. The $17,000 is just for the desk and the outlets.
So, Marcia, you're saying 3,000, is that for all the chairs?
11.
11 chairs? Okay.
Christine?
Thank you. So how about we put it all in, and then we'll see where we land. And just a reminder, it's a U shape, so the people on the edge, especially in the middle, aren't kind of wedged in. It's much roomier, and there is a plug-in station to recharge your iPad at each seat. So why don't we put in the 20 and see where we land, and if we have to start pulling some of that back out again, so be it. Does that
That sounds good.
Councillor Olmsted?
Then my suggestion is that if it doesn't get approved, then we reassign seating.
I agree with Councillor Olmsted.
It's almost as bad as sitting here, though, because you're, well, anybody that sits in this kind of a section, this is terrible.
The amount of councillors you used to have.
Okay?
So can I go ahead and proceed with tendering projects that we've discussed tonight, except for, I don't want to tender, well, I'd like to tender the truck now for a January delivery, because it's going to, if we tender a truck now, it's going to be January before it's delivered anyways.
So that won't be on this year's budget then?
Yeah, half of it. I'd like to put half on this year and half on next year.
Depending on where it ends up
Yeah.
coming from,
Okay.
we'll leave it with, is councillors agreeable to that? Depends on where it shows up. If we're gonna borrow for it, for instance, then we can wait until next year, to budget, so just do it unfinanced this year,
Unfinanced.
and then finance it next year. If it's gonna come out of taxation, if there's room, then we can transfer that amount into reserves.
Yes.
And, we'll see where it falls, so
Okay.
I think at this time, is council in agreement, with all of the items on the capital list to go ahead and tender them, and now it's just up to Marcia to do the money dance? Is that okay for direction? I think it's important to get these tenders out in a timely fashion so that the work can be done.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. I think okay. Yeah. Do you want me to read? No, we'll go into close, we'll go take 10 minutes first.